Hello, I'm Paul Brown, and welcome to Time Warner Cable News' coverage of the Austin City Council race. Today we have a forum featuring the candidates in District 7, and we want to show you a map of the area that we're talking about. This is the north central portion of the city, ranges basically from the Allendale neighborhood up Burnett Road, beyond Howard Lane, and you can see the geographic boundaries there on your screen. But again, this is a time where the city of Austin is changing the way it's voting. The old way of the at-large system is gone, and now these are single-member districts, which means that the people who live within those boundaries that you saw in District 7 will be electing the person to represent them, and then everyone will have a chance to, of course, elect a mayor as well throughout the city. Ed English, retired sales and manufacturing worker, member of the Northwest Austin Coalition, has been involved here in issues related to this district, no doubt. And tell us about why you're running and more about your skill sets should you get elected to the council.
Well, it's a sales and marketing background, not manufacturing.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's
You're manufacturing marketing.
Some of it. I am running because Austin's been a good place to be. I've been here for 31 years, all 31 years in the district, and I live on the north end of the district, and we haven't had a voice. I was very involved with the 10-1 movement, and I see this as a real opportunity to balance the representation on city council. I have been very involved, as you said, in a number of activities. I've volunteered with the Red Cross, with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and as far as the skill set that I bring to the table, part of that sales and marketing background included extensive exposure to contract management, and with a $3.5 billion budget set for next year, I think experience with contracts is a valuable asset to bring to the table.
Learn now that the 75 acres of state property there at 45th Street and Bull Creek Road, the city is going to look at this and potentially purchase it. Sounds like late October might be the timetable before they come to a decision. What's your vision for this piece of property? What should be done with it? And tell us the importance of it regarding District 7.
Well, this particular tract is a very rare opportunity for the city to acquire a sizable property in an area that desperately needs parks. I think that's something that I've heard, probably as well as the rest of the candidates, that the south end of the district has been for many, many years short on park space. So I would support that being purchased and used for park space. The other alternatives carry consequences. Putting additional housing or some other type of commercial development in there would force additional traffic onto roadways that are already suffering under a heavy load. Also, one of the things that, and I think you mentioned this in opening up the question, is that the decision will be made potentially in late October. I would hope that the council would wait an extra week or two on that, because I'd like to see the decision that the voters reach on the rail bond, which is quite expensive and the city will incur quite a bit of additional debt. I'd like to see that decision made by the voters before the city council makes a decision on additional expenditures, because the consequences of the rail vote should have or will have a direct bearing on the city's debt load.
When you have an issue that's very specific to your district, but perhaps it may not be in the best interest of the city at large, do you represent the district, do you represent the city, or how do you go about handling that with this new 10-1 that we're going to be seeing here?
I think a council person can blend the two. I have a wealth of experience in sales and marketing, which includes many, many years of negotiating, and I think one of the things that will be incumbent upon the next council is to approach their position and their fellow council members with a sense of respect and compromise. Certainly you have district-specific issues that you'll be accountable to the voters in the district for, but you have to address those and come up with solutions that can be seen in the greater scope of how it affects the rest of the city. That's not always going to be an easy challenge, but I certainly think that it can be done if you have the right set of people who understand that there must be compromise on many, many of the issues that they're going to face.
Everyone has opinions about the light rail issue that's going to be before voters on the same ballot that you'll appear on. Tell me about your position on the light rail proposal and maybe light rail in general, and we're going to go a minute and a half on this. And if that's not a solution in terms of alleviating traffic conditions that we face in Austin right now, what your thoughts are on that?
quite a few thoughts.
Light rail, and solution.
And light rail. It's a project that I've been following for some time, and saying up front that I believe rail should be part of the transportation solution, along with bus routes, expanded taxi service, Uber, Lyft, bike lanes, you name it. It's going to have to, the solutions will have to include many, many components. Regarding the specific rail proposal that the voters will have an opportunity to pass judgment on November 4th, I oppose it. I was the first person in this race to be vocal and on record. I've spent a great deal of time canvassing the district from one end to the other, asking a very simple question, which is, what do you think rail should accomplish? If a completed project should do what for you or the city? The answer is pretty uniformly, take traffic off the road. And having followed Project Connect and studied the numbers, it would appear that this particular proposal will do very little of that. The route selected is not really going to take a lot of traffic off the road. The ridership is too low. The upfront cost is too high. There's many negatives in this. I just don't think it's the right proposal, but rail certainly has a place in the package for us as far as the solution goes.
When it comes to this district, with District 7, what is it that you think maybe the City Council has either ignored or failed to address, or that's just important that needs to be presented to the council?
District 7 needs are not completely unique to the district, but certainly there's some that have a higher level of importance to the residents. We talked previously about park space. The south end of the district, those particular subdivisions were built out at a time when planning for park space was not a particular high priority, and I would like to see a focus on obtaining a park space, even if sometimes it's a pocket park or a small park on the south end of the district. Also, something that's facing the district is a considerable challenge, particularly for the neighborhoods on the south end of the district, Brentwood, Crestview, Allendale, is land use. There has been, those are mature neighborhoods. Families have lived there in many cases for generations, and there's been a continuing pressure on those neighborhoods to make sacrifices. There's been a continuing pressure to inject certain types of developments which they find objectionable, and in general the character of those neighborhoods is being eroded. I'd like to see an emphasis put on preserving that. And I've lived in the north end of the district for 31 years, and it does have some unique problems, particularly the northeast corner as they relate to public safety and crime. I certainly think that we could use additional police presence and officers in the north side of the district and the northeast corner in particular.
Okay. This is a chance to look at the work of the City Council in the past. Is there something that they have approved that you would like to reverse if you were on the City Council?
I can think of several. They all have a common theme, and they dramatically affect the cost of living or affordability here. And those would be a string of decisions that all center around incentives and fee waivers. I think incentives should be very sparingly used. I won't say that there's never a case for those any longer. It's the same thing with fee waivers. I'm a big music fan, but as an example, South by Southwest brings a tremendous amount of revenue to the city. But this spring, the city waived $750,000 in city services fees. I think any event that generates that kind of revenue can afford to pay its own freight. You also look at incentives that have been offered to various companies that have moved into town that probably would have moved here in any other set of circumstances. They would have come on their own.
I'm going to ask in a 30-second response just to give us a final word about why you would like to be on the City Council, maybe to tie up loose ends of anything that we discussed here that you'd like to finalize here.
Well, I've lived in the district for 31 years, the north end to be specific, and I became intimately involved with understanding of the needs of the district as far back as 2.5 years ago, beginning with the 10-1 movement. And what I bring to the table, what I want to be for the district, is a fresh voice, an honest voice that comes to the table, sits on the council without the baggage or encumbrances that come with having worked for the city or made decisions for the city that perhaps influence or guide my direction, just to be a fresh voice.
Thank you. Really appreciate the very good discussion. We encourage you to do your homework on District 7 and all of the races. You can make sure to vote early by October the 31st. November the 4th is Election Day. Thanks for joining us.